Hello and good evening to all of you. I am so happy and elated that you decided to join us for the Today is Your Day show. I don't know about you, but I'm excited about tonight's show. I hope that this Wednesday finds you well. We're in the middle of the week. We just have a few more days of the work week for some, and why not just make it the best? Make it the best that you actually can. We made it till today. Might as well just keep going, right? All right. Listen, we got some announcements that I need you to know about. There is the Ultimate Coaching and Design Experience. Listen, this is something that I am offering right now that I think will be a blessing to you, your business, your brand. What it is you'll join us for the Ultimate Coaching and Design Experience, quality coaching, professional design, creation to better market your brand. And guess what? We're only taking 10 people. And so I don't want you to miss out on this. It's only 10 spots that are available, discounted rate, and you get some coaching and you get some designs for your company, your business, your brand. So don't miss out on this opportunity. Also, Davis Consultants offer so much more. We do branding, we do marketing, we do speaking engagements, we do life coaching, business consulting, and neurolinguistic programming. So you want to get your life headed in the right direction. You want to get your business headed in the right direction. Reach out to us, davisconsultantsgroup.com. Again, that's davisconsultantsgroup.com for the ultimate coaching and design program that I'm offering right now. You can email me at Jonathan at davisconsultantsgroup.com. Again, that's Jonathan at davisconsultantsgroup.com. It's already on my Facebook page. I'll be posting more about it this week. So I want to make sure that you don't miss out on that. Also, as you know, we've started this new segment to promote your business, your brand, your book, whatever your event, whatever it is. We want to make sure that you let the world know who you are, what you do, and all that you have to offer, your product, your services, whatever it is. I'm giving you a chance to let the world know who you are and what you do. And you can email me at that same email address, Jonathan at davisconsultantsgroup.com. Again, that's Jonathan at davisconsultantsgroup.com. It will air on Fridays at noon Central Standard Time. Hey, it'll be just a conversation that we're having to promote just you and whatever you have going on. And so I don't want you to miss out on the opportunity to be showcased to the world. We want to thank our main sponsor, the Proclamation 101 from YouTube. Go to YouTube, hit subscribe, hit the bell, and click on the Proclamation 101. They do a Bible study almost every Thursday from 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's very interactive. It's just like having Bible study right there in your living room with your family. I don't want you to miss it. You can go again to YouTube, the Proclamation 101. That is all one word. Click on subscribe, click on the bell so you don't miss what they have to offer. Kimberly J Ministries is offering a prayer school 5-week course. This is something you don't want to miss. You're always saying how you want to pray better, how you want to get stronger and better in your prayer life. This is a chance to do just that. Email her at kimberlyjministries.org, or you can register, at kimberlyjministries.org. Go to that website, click on register for the prayer school, a 5-week course. I'm telling you, I believe it is going to change your life. I believe it's going to be an amazing time. Also want to thank our partner, A Word and a Song. You go on to Facebook and type in Montre Roberts on Facebook and reach out to her. She has a word and a song every third Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, that's a word and a song on every third Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and I think YouTube. So don't miss it. It's a great time. It's a great time. And I believe you truly would enjoy it. Before we bring on our guest, I believe we need to have a little moment of our Today is Your Day moment with yours truly. Hey, it's your favorite international coach, Jonathan Davis. Let me ask you a question. Are you a person that lives or stays in the present? A lot of times people are so yesterday or tomorrow or a week or a month from now minded that they miss the moment. I'm telling you, if you allow yourself to live in the moment, to be present in that moment, it'll be a whole new world to you. I'm telling you, when people are talking to you, you're in the conversation, you're engaged, eye contact, you're in it. You could just be sitting there, enjoying the wind blowing, enjoying life, enjoying the peace of being in that moment. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow is not promised. All we have is this very moment. Live in it. Today is your day.
I'm Eugene Perry
I'm Donna Perry, and we're the host
of Young People Nation
podcast.
We know that mental health is way too stigmatized. Young people are hurting. They are in dark places, just wanting to feel heard.
That's why we're bringing no judgment conversations with the guests who have been there, done that, and want to share their experiences in an environment with transparency, healing, and safety.
So tune in and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And just remember,
There's always hope.
There is hope, and I hope that on Thursdays at noon Eastern Standard Time, you join the Perrys for Young People Nation podcast, where they have real and raw conversations, just like we're going to do today. But they talk about these issues about our young people that I believe you need to be a part of. You can check them on their podcast, but they also have a YouTube channel, the exact same name, Young People Nation, and they go live every Thursday at noon. Every Thursday at noon on Eastern Standard Time. Y'all, I don't know about you, but I'm really excited about our guest that I'm going to bring up in just a few moments. But I wanted to make sure people understand we had such a great feedback from our first visit with the amazing Ray Williams that people were like, you got to have him back. You got to have him back. So I said, okay, we will have Ray Williams back on the show. And he said, hey, I will clear my schedule just to be with you all on this Wednesday night. He's a busy man. And he'll talk about all the great things that he does for those that are just coming on and seeing him for the first time. But I'm going to bring him up while I welcome the people in the audience. And let's welcome Ray Williams, the great Ray Williams, to the show.
Good afternoon. Good evening, I should say. Thank you so much for having me, sir. After such an introduction, I guess I'd better do a good job today.
Listen, you just be yourself. You're going to be amazing. And that's why people are in the comment section right now so they can hear and see everything that you got to say. I want to make sure that we reach out to Davana Davis, just called Elias, Classy Spellman. Hey, Classy. Joy Yvette.
Hey, Joy.
Hey, Joy. Taya Hopewell. Janelle Davis.
Davis Hamilton. Yeah.
You know her? She's awesome.
She is. She's amazing.
She's a little bit of my bloodline. You know, there's that. I sewed into her. Also, Latoya Andrews. Hey, Latoya. Me and Latoya, for instance, elementary. But I definitely want to make sure people know that this is a conversation for all of us. So please be active in the comments. Jalissa. Hey, Jalissa. People, please be active in the comments. Ask your questions. Make your comments. This is a conversation that we are all having. And that's what this show is about. We're in this together. Yeah, we're on the screen, but y'all in the comment section, y'all with us. You all are with us. So I want to make sure that you don't feel forgotten and you know that you are a part of this. So please tell them all that you do. I don't want to miss anything. Hold on, can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Sir.
How much time you have for all that I do?
Come on, it's okay.
Whew, man. Well, I'm a business coach and executive coach to executives.
Yay.
I'm a mentor to young entrepreneurs. Oh man, I'm a pastor. I pastor a little church called Reset Church here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm an international speaker and coach. I mean, I'm not their favorite international coach, but I coach people across the globe. I am a stock. Well, I hate to say a stock guru, but I'm a trader, and I do some trading, mentoring as it relates to trading. If all things business, all things people, and like I said the last time I was here, I'm in the people business, and so if it is concerning people, their well-being, because I believe the greatest investment that you could ever make is you make the greatest investment that you could ever make and the greatest investment God ever made, and that was into people. And so that's a little bit of what I do. I am a husband. I am a father. Yeah, I have a marriage mentoring practice. I know that sounds kind of crazy, where I mentor people in marriage. If you have a marriage and it's on life support, our program can help revive it. If you want to go into marriage and want to, I hate to call it marriage counseling because it indicates you're trying to fix someone. So call it marriage mentoring, because at the end of the day, you can counsel people and diagnose their issue in a therapeutic setting, non-therapeutic setting, whichever they choose. But sometimes people just need to know how it's done and have some support in the process. And so I do that as it relates to the marriage piece. More and more, I'm becoming a relationship coach. I never wanted that. I never wanted that title. Someone asked me, they said, "We heard you were a relationship expert." I said, "You heard wrong." They said, "Well, can you help us?" I said, "I can help you that. I don't know if I'm an expert, but I got a pretty good track record, but I'm in the people business."
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't just throw that out there and then we not talk about it. So are you ready for the conversation?
I'm ready for the conversation. Sure. Let's go for it.
There you go. All right. So being that you are the relationship guru, I know you didn't say that, but hey, people come to you, you save these relationships, these marriages. So why not talk about it? What have you found has been some of the biggest issues in the relationships not working out, or the fight to work out?
Unrealized expectations. If I had to name the number one, very high on the list would be unrealized expectations, uncommunicated or miscommunicated expectations. When you have an expectation of someone that you've not voiced, you hold them responsible for not producing what you've not proclaimed. And so often, more so than not, that's the huge piece, which is connected to communication. Many people walk away from good marriages and good relationships because they have an inability to communicate effectively. As I said the last time I was here, I'm penning a book, shameless plug, it'll be out in a couple of months. And it deals with communication, because the better you communicate, the better you become, the better you become, the better you are, the better you are, the better you present. And so I don't believe it's lack of communication. I think people have been taught that, but that is absolutely wrong. People communicate well. Now, I believe it's the lack of effective communication, because even when you're communicating ineffectively, you're communicating. So oftentimes it's not a lack of communication. It is an abundance of miscommunication. Because most people don't communicate as well as they think they do. And depending on where you learn to communicate, who taught you to communicate, how you learn to communicate, and your ability or inability to handle your emotions while you're communicating makes a total difference. So I know a lot of people would say it's a lack of communication. The truth of the matter is lack of communication would do more to save some marriages. It is the abundance of communication that often destroys, and that miscommunication could be not communicating when needed, and often what people refer to as a lack of communication. But silence is communication. Silence screams. And even when we're silent, we're communicating, because what happens when all you do is talk, or all you do is attempt to communicate? It doesn't mean that it's effective. And you're saying, I've tried, I've said it a million times. You have said it, but have you effectively communicated it? Just because it left your mouth doesn't mean that the person heard what you intended. And so I think one of the biggest pieces is a lack of effective communication, or the abundance of miscommunication, which leads to having an expectation that your partner, your spouse, your friend may not be aware of. And depending on how deep we get tonight, I'll crystallize that as we go along. But that is one of the biggest obstacles to overcome, because you'll be amazed at the people who come into my office and sit and say, I'm a great communicator. And within an hour, I begin to poke holes in their ability to communicate. And they go, well, I thought we communicated well.
What are some, I guess, what have you shared with couples that you believe have been success on good communication techniques or ways to communicate?
Well, I think when we talk about communication, the first thing that I like to do is dissect how do you define communication, and how do you know if you're a great communicator? And I first often ask, well, if you had to rate your communication on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate yourself? And one spouse may say, I'm an 8, she's a 2, or I'm a 9, he's a 1. And I often say, well, how have you quantified that? How do you define communication? Because in your mind, you could be communicating quite well, but are you as good of a communicator as you believe when a person who's been with you most of, your adult life, and you have built a relationship, you've gone into a marriage, or you've built a partnership, you've gone into a business, and now all of a sudden we just have a lack of communication? I think sometimes it's been that the communication has been there for quite some time, or the miscommunication has been there for quite some time. And based on how I learned to communicate, who taught me to communicate, the environment in which I communicated can often impact. Case in point, I had a couple that's in my practice now. And she's a very sweet lady, but she learned to communicate in a house where he who yelled the loudest won the battle. So the more aggressive she was, the more abrasive she was, the louder she became. Whoever was the loudest, the most domineering, the most dominant voice was the individual who won the battle, until she got with the person, married a person who does not respond well to that. So though that worked in the environment that you grew up in, and I would suggest that it didn't work because you didn't learn to communicate, you learned to fight. You didn't learn to communicate, you just learned to speak. And oftentimes, just because you've spoken doesn't mean that you communicated to the individual what needs to, be said and how it lands for them. So the first thing I do is let's redefine how we see communication. From a technical standpoint, communication is transmission and reception. A signal is transmitted, it's received by another source. So it's a peer-to-peer. Well, I go a bit further. I believe that communication is transmission, reception, confirmation. In other words, I said to Jonathan, today is your day. Jonathan said to me, thank you for saying today is your day. Now, I communicated today is your day. Jonathan heard today is your day, and then he confirmed that he heard what I intended. So often in communication, we speak and we think that because we've said it, that the individual received it the way we intended. And it's also, another variable is how we deliver it. Do you communicate the same when you're emotional? Are you in a place where you're emotionally balanced so that you can communicate? Because there's another thing that you'll find, and I talk about this in my book as well. Facts are not feelings, and feelings are not facts. Just because you feel a particular way about it doesn't make it factual. And facts don't need feelings to be valid. So feelings are not facts. Well, I just feel like, however you feel until you can land with the facts, because we can debate your feelings and your emotions all day. However, the way you feel about it may not be factual. And in order to coexist harmoniously with someone else, you're going to have to be able to communicate the facts, because your emotions change. How you feel about something can change. And if I'm trying to babysit or accommodate how you feel, then I'm on a I'm on a roller coaster of emotions, because how you feel one day is different from the next. How you think about it in one season of life can be different from the next. So I think the first thing I do is, let's define what you think communication is. And now let's go, where did you learn to communicate? How do you communicate in different arenas of your life? Do you communicate at home like you communicate at work? Because if so, what happens when the environment is different? What happens when the variables are different? What happens when your husband, you're in charge at work, and so you're very authoritative, and then when you come home, you speak to your husband like he's one of your employees, and you think that that's effective communication because it works at work. But the truth of the matter is, the role is different, the environment is different, and the expectation is different. So you may be a great corporate communicator, but your interpersonal communication skills could be sorely lacking. You write the best emails. I mean, you could rewrite the Constitution with your emails, but sitting across the room from someone, you can't get your point across. And so I think communication is a huge barrier, because it does really lead to some unrealistic or unrealized expectations.
Wow. So we had that's good. That's really good. So we had a question from Vanessa Adams. Is communication also being an effective listener?
Well, absolutely. That's why I define it as communication, as transmission, reception, confirmation. Most people transmit. Their ability to receive is not as good. Reception includes being a good listener or an effective listener. And what I mean by that is this: we need to listen to understand, not to respond. I need to listen so that I hear the individual and understand the individual, as opposed to listening, waiting for my opportunity to rebuttal. And so that's why confirmation is so critical. Confirmation will tell me whether you heard me. So listening is a huge part of communication. When I'm walking through corporations where I'm doing some coaching with the executives or their team, the first day that I'm there, I'm just listening. You can't help who you can't hear. You can't help me if you can't hear me. Mm-hmm. So my first day, I'm just walking through listening. I'm not saying, hey, I'm the big guru and I'm here to restructure the organization. I'm just listening. I'm examining. I'm hearing what the culture is, what the mood is, what the energy, what the synergy is. Hearing how people describe the company, hearing how people describe themselves, hearing what people, whether people have an expectation of a future there, whether they're just there to, going along to get by. Whenever I'm sitting in with couples or relationships, it's important to listen, because you do not have to, you cannot help who you can't hear. And if you can't hear me, you certainly cannot coexist with me. And so I'll repeat that for Ms. Hopewell. You have to listen to understand, not listen to respond. Most people listen to respond so that I can get my point across and tell you how wrong you are. But when you listen to understand, there's a different level of grace. There's a different level of deference. There's a different level of holistic communication. And you realize that the person may be wrong in how they say it, but they might have a point in what they're saying, provided that you're listening to understand them. And so I think that's extremely critical if you're going to be a great communicator, especially people in leadership. We see this in the Black church and oftentimes in organizations led by African Americans. And I really think as a culture, we have to reel this in. Being a great leader doesn't mean that you're the most prominent voice. Being a great leader means that you are the greatest curator of greatness. And in order for you to curate greatness, you have to be able to hear the voice of the people. A leader who will not hear the voice of his or her people is not a great leader at all. That's a narcissist who has a title. Did I just say that? I probably shouldn't have said that. It's too early in the show. It's too early in the show. I'm so sorry, people. It's too early in the show. I'm not sorry. I'm really not.
I know you are. I want to ask. I want to talk about the word narcissist in a minute, but how do I share with my mate that you aren't, well, I mean, how do you let them know that they aren't communicating well to me?
Okay.
Without having an argument.
Well, here's the thing. I don't believe that an argument is bad communication. I believe that sometimes healthy communication comes out of an argument. I believe one's inability to argue effectively exposes their lack of ability to communicate. I do not believe that an argument is unhealthy communication. It is not. I believe that if you know how to engage an argument, because let's define what an argument is. An argument is simply where two people have different perspectives. Am I not entitled to be able to argue my vantage point without diminishing you, without disrespecting you, without belittling you? I don't believe that arguing is a bad thing. In fact, I tell couples, if you have nothing to argue about, it's because you don't have anything to live for, because you can't get two different people in two different places from two different walks of life, and there'll never be an argument. I believe how we argue exposes whether or not we're great communicating. Do you address the facts? Do you stay on task with the conversation, or do you attack the individual? See, because a good argument attacks issues and not people. When I argue, I'm attacking the issue, not the person. And I'm careful not to attack the individual. I'm attacking the issue at hand. We might have varying vantage points. We might have varying opinions. But if you cannot argue well, you cannot communicate well. Think about something. When you go for your doctoral degree, you have to defend your thesis. If you cannot argue, you cannot obtain that degree. So we have to first off rethink how we define arguing, because many of us saw argument from a very traumatic experience when most of what we saw as an argument was abuse or neglect. But great communicators can argue quite well. If you're ever in an argument with me, I can assure you, you will meet a great argument. I can argue with the best of them without attacking you personally, without diminishing you, without demeaning you. And as the argument goes on, you will find that I've gained your respect because I did attack your vantage point. I did attack the issue. And in the process, I can do something to make you feel better about engaging me, even though we have a contentious point. A good argument attacks issues, not people. So we got to redefine that. So for me, to answer your question directly, is how do you communicate to your spouse or your mate that they're not communicating effectively with you, is the same way you just asked that question. Sweetie, the way we communicate does not work for me. The way that you communicate does not resonate well with me. I have reached an impasse because our inability to communicate has rendered me impotent in my ability to keep moving forward in this relationship. I think sometimes we overthink how people are going to feel, and so we try to package our presentation based on their ability to receive it.
Wow.
Truth is truth, whether you struggle to receive it or not. Now, for some people, they would say, that's a bit insensitive. Either that or that's a bit insightful. Your spouse needs to know, your mate needs to know that you are struggling to be able to communicate effectively with them so that they can then in turn say, well, what do you need from me? But if I have to babysit your emotions and I'm scared that I'm going to hurt your feelings, I cannot be truthful with you. See, because I believe that you can redirect a person without dimming their light.
That's good. That's so good. So you're saying that, we're fussing about dishes, but I don't need to bring up that you trash and you stink on Wednesdays or none of those things. I need to just stick to dishes.
I say it this way, stick to the script. If we're arguing about dishes, please don't bring up my breath stinks. Let's stick to the issue at hand. If you say the dishes are the issue, then let's let the dishes be the issue. But if you feel like I verbally get an upper hand on you and now you want to take a low blow and say, well, you know what? I tell you what, it's not just the dishes. It's your car. It's your mama house. It's your raggedy sister. Wait. Stick to the script. Stick to the script. Now you're attacking my family when the truth of the matter is you could simply say, you know, it really bugs me when you leave the dishes in the sink overnight. I would really prefer you not to do that. And somehow it seems that we have a disconnect. And that disconnect is you're wondering why I come to bed with an attitude. It's because on my way into the bedroom, I noticed that there were dishes on the countertop, and how this impacts me is like thus and so. Let the issue be the issue. Let the main thing be the main thing. Stick to the script. Don't deviate because you're losing the argument or you feel as if you're losing the argument. Most people attack the person when they don't have a vernacular vast enough to use an effective voice to impact the issue. That's when an argument goes awry. But, you know, believe it or not, there would be no great attorneys if an argument was not good. There are people who did not spend life in prison because they had someone who could argue the finer points of law. Every pastor who stands up and ministers on a Sunday should be arguing the finer points of theology. And in every conversation, there's an antagonist and a protagonist. And so what would happen if we agreed to stay in agreement? That's what works for me in my house. We don't have to agree on everything, but we do agree that we need to stay in agreement. I'm not attacking you. My issue is with the issue. My love is for you. My respect is for you. My adoration is toward you. However, this thing that you do doesn't work for me.
That's good.
Notice how I call the person on the issue. I address that they are creating the issue, but in the process, I'm not attacking them. I'm attacking the thing they do. Now, some people would say, well, that's still attacking me. Well, no, I think you need to grow up and realize that me attacking a behavior is not me necessarily attacking your person. You can change a behavior. You shouldn't have to change who you are because I can't handle it. That's a whole nother conversation.
All right, let's talk about this word that I hear people say all the time, not to me. Put that out there. But I hear people talking about, and calling people narcissists.
It is an awful commentary. It's a buzzword now that people who often throw that word around do not understand the clinical ramifications of what a narcissist is. And there have been many people who are labeled narcissists when the truth of the matter is they're probably genius, great leaders, and they had the guts to stand up for themselves. And when people cannot control the narrative of how you live and cannot control the narrative, or you will no longer permit them to control the narrative of how they engage you, then, the trend today is, oh, he's a narcissist. She's a narcissist. I'm not narcissistic because I put boundaries and limitations on you. I'm not narcissistic because I won't permit you to speak to me in a tone that I believe to be demeaning and disrespectful. If that makes me a narcissist, then so be it. But that's not narcissism. So I think in the current climate in which we live, that word is thrown around so loosely, and it's often by uninformed people. And unfortunately, with the advent of social media, whatever's trending on social media, for whatever reason, trends in the world. And it's dangerous because oftentimes social media gives a platform to people with very limited intellectual prowess. And so you have people who have neighborhood experience, but because they have enough followers, they become a global voice. And people with neighborhood experience should never attempt to be a voice on global matters. Did you see how in communicating, I just dissed someone, but I made them feel really good about it. I didn't attack them personally. Joy Vet says, would you please explain the actual clinical term of a narcissist? And my answer to that would be no. I'm not here to render therapeutic advice. And so I wouldn't do that on a public platform because someone could take that and run with it. But Wikipedia could tell you, WebMD could tell you. But most of what we see thrown around socially today is not at all narcissism. When you get to narcissist, well, I'll tell you this. I'll say this. Narcissistic people care about no one. They only care about themselves and what they can gain from others. And they will do and or say and manipulate any kind of way possible for their own benefit. I'll say that. Those are some of the traits of a narcissist. If you want the true clinical therapeutic definition of it, Google is your best friend, or for most of you, you could just unfortunately ask Siri and she'll tell you. Now, whether Siri is accurate or not, I don't know, but Google is pretty accurate. Is all I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna set that right there.
Oh, this is a non-Apple iPhone user, and there is hateration coming through the airways.
I am, but you know, I'm. But here's the thing, Jonathan. I'm not an Apple user because Apple told me not to be. Apple told me to think different, and I did, and I do.
I just feel using Apple just says, "Hey, I want to go to heaven," but that is a whole nother life.
Right, but see, the flaw in that logic is you have the bitten apple. It got us in trouble the first time. Look at the state of the world. That's all I'm going to say.
You know, it's all good. It's all good, and we just move forward because you can't save a brother that don't want to be saved. Jada
Absolutely. I'm okay with Team Android. I love being able to buy a phone and making it do what I paid for it to do, and not, well, you know, I don't want to waste good time talking about the
goodness of Jesus, which is Apple products.
Hallelujah.
But that is a whole nother live, y'all. And I'm seeing a lot of people in the comment section that I thought were on the right team, that we definitely need to put on our prayer list, because they are clearly not Apple users. But that's all good. That's all good. So I did a little research, and I was looking up, you know, top 10 what people believe are men issues. A lot of times talked about these things last. I don't understand. That's all I can say to the people in the
Hallelujah.
understand.
Look at the people.
But
Jonathan, you should thank Android. Most of the people on your platform tonight are Android users.
Even my bloodline, it's like, oh man, sorry.
Listen, if it were not for Android, where would we be?
And see, that's the word that y'all are reading, and I go to your church. Wow. Okay, so top 10 men issues, and you can pull from any of this, but I'm going to say these. So it says mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, both sisters are Android. I got to talk to my parents because my mom's an Apple user, and she and I are going to heaven. But besides that, top 10 men issues: mental health, work-life balance, health issues, financial pressure, relationship problems, parenting challenges, career advancement, social expectations, loneliness and isolation, and sexual health.
Okay, so
wow. Okay, any of those pulled you out?
Well, all of those pulled me out. All of those, I've gotten a few calls and a few inboxes asking would I be discussing some of it, and I think that all of those things are apropos. Now, I want to give a disclaimer. You invited me on the show, so you may want to give your disclaimer. The thoughts and views expressed tonight.
Almost definitely. These are just listen. Don't write us. Don't sue. Just opinions.
You might want to say are not the thoughts and views of Jonathan David Media Productions. Yada 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 yada.
Yes. Y'all, show,
when we talk about mental health,
don't hold it against me. He's Android. I'm Apple. Let's go to heaven. All right, Amen. Go ahead. Amen.
There you go. But you know, I just want to say this before I answer the list. You're right. Android, Apple, you are going to heaven. Android will already be there when you get there. Though. That's the only difference. You are going, but we'll be there. When you get there.
Something serious.
I'm just saying, you know, and that's the truth. Is you are going to heaven. We'll just already be there when you get there. Now, that being said, we talk about mental health and we talk about men's health. It's critical to talk about mental health because you can't have men's health or anyone's health without mental health. That's so critical, and that's such a vast conversation. I'm not sure that we can encapsulate that in just one setting. I think it's extremely critical to be able to clearly navigate men's health within the proper construct of meeting the needs of the total man.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about manhood and what a man is, it is frightening now. When we look at the state of culture, when we look at subcultures, when we look at sometimes even the church, it's very difficult to navigate manhood because it has been so convoluted. And we live in a time now where a man is whoever my mama told me a man was. So let's do it this way. You pick one of those things on the list, and we'll go at it from that angle, because I mean it's all encompassing. I mean we could be here a while, but mental health for men is very important. But you also have to understand the things that contribute to barriers for our mental health. Now, case in point, and I think we have mostly women in the chat today. We want a man who's sensitive, but we don't want a man who's too sensitive. You want a man who can communicate, but you don't want a man who talks too much. You want a man who can express himself, but you don't want a man too in touch with his emotions. Because if he's too in touch with his emotions and he communicates too well, you're going to question his sexuality and his masculinity. So which one is it? We got to decide. Do I want a man who has a healthy mental health framework where he can effectively communicate, he can express himself in a way that I can quantify as being effective without attacking his masculinity? Because what I can't say, if I hold it in, it comes out at the most inopportune time. So I think, when we talk about mental health, every person needs to have a handle on mental health, not just men, but all people do. And so I'm going to say something that's very controversial, and Jesus, we might have to run out of here, Jonathan, but I'm going to say it. Whenever you meet a broken man, there's a woman somewhere that was the brokey, whether it was his mama, whether it was his auntie, his grandmother, his ex-girlfriend, his ex-wife. Typically, there's some woman there that broke something in the individual, and now every woman after her is paying for it. Not always. There are some, exceptions to the rule, but more so than not. And I'm ready for the war because I know the power in that statement. I can handle the pushback. I can handle the pushback.
Donna Perry says correct.
Donna Perry is absolutely right. It could be the daddy. It could be the daddy. But okay. I'm glad she made that comment. It could be the daddy. Watch this. It could be the daddy, but he didn't choose his daddy. You did. You're right. It could be the father, but I didn't choose my father. You chose the man. You chose to become pregnant by this individual who was incapable of loving me holistically. And so even if the father is the one that broke me, I didn't choose my father. Some woman did. I'm so glad she made that statement because, women often say that it could have been the man. You're right, but he didn't choose his dad. You did. Ouch. We didn't lose the audience, did we?
What Donna Perry, family secrets is major.
Family secrets are major because I want you to think about something. For women, there are all types of resources, all types of circles, all types of programs. Even in my family, one of the things, we were part of Jack and Jill, and one of the things that really turned me off about Jack and Jill is, I thought it was a brilliant program until I realized it didn't really have a component for the fathers. You want our wives, the mothers, and the children, but how can we have a strong family with a disconnected father? And so that to me was huge. And I thought to myself, So at the gatherings, the women are there, the children are there, and the fathers, we were just kind of like appendages. Like, you don't want to get too involved. You don't want to say too much. You might want to ask them if they need you to lift something. And I thought to myself, if we're talking about being able to engage the African American or the Black family in a very real way, how are we doing that without the dads? The Bible says a wise woman builds her house and a foolish woman tears it down. How do you build your house if you tear the man out of the picture? And so I think as it relates to mental health, all men's mental health, all of those serve as a vantage point, because you realize something. Case in point, I was talking to an individual the other day, and it's unfortunate. You may not be able to. It's for God and counseling. I'm not sure what she means by that statement. When we talk about the male construct, there's so many concessions made for women that are not made for men. What's next on the list? Because I could keep going there, but I'd like to address more than just the mental health piece.
Well, we had a question about Miss Williams. How do you fix it once it's broken? If you were the broker.
How do you fix it once it's broken if you were the broker? Okay, how do you fix what? Let's work on our communication. How do you fix it? What is it? Once it's broken, again, let's define what the it is. If you were the broker.
Was it the man?
Was it the man? Was it the son? I'm not really sure. But I think I think part of being able to mend anything is radical accountability. Own that you broke it. Don't make another person responsible or feel responsible for the outcome that you created. And so, again, I'm not very sure what direction our question was going in, but I think ownership, I own what I did. I made the mistake. I made the wrong choice. I made a poor choice. I did something that impacted you negatively. And I want you to know that I'm sincerely apologetic. And then here's the key. Here's the key. This is a nugget I'll throw out. Then if I'm truly remorseful, I allow the individual who's been offended to set the tone for reconciliation. He or she who has been offended gets to set the tone for reconciliation. In other words, when you've hurt me, I get to decide the parameters for our recovery. I get to choose what the guidelines would be for our repair. So if I am the one that's been wounded, if I'm the one that's been offended, I get to tell you what I'm going to need from you in order for me to get back to a place of harmony with you. I think we got to first start there. And if people are truly remorseful, they will engage that process. When people are not willing to engage the process, it's because they're not really remorseful. They just want you to suck it up and let's move on, because I'm not ready to deal with the level of accountability that's needed to get us to a place of wholeness. So I think if she's going where I think she's going with it, it really is radical accountability. It starts there, and then a plan of action for restoration. And that's where a lot of people in a lot of marriages, couples lose it. They don't have a plan for restoration. Yes, we've had a break in our marriage or a break in our relationship. How are we going to repair this? Are we even in a place where we can, and this happens more so than not, are you in a place where you can be honest enough to say that we're not in a good place? Well, we're fine. Our marriage is fine. Is it? Or are we just not addressing the issues? And we do, especially church folk, we put Jesus on it and church on it. And the truth of the matter is Jesus didn't break your marriage, and it is not his responsibility to fix it. Jesus didn't offend your spouse, and it's not his responsibility, nor is he going to step in and fix it. Now, I know church has told us Jesus will fix it after a while. That is not proper scriptural theology. The scripture says that when I have offended my brother, I should go, you get it, and make it right. And so I think accountability, I also think, a plan of restoration is extremely important. And then I think we have to set some healthy boundaries. Many relationships fall apart because we just don't have healthy boundaries. You'll be amazed that a lot of infidelity could be avoided if boundaries were respected, or if boundaries were even put in place.
Before I put this comment up, what do you mean when you say boundaries?
Boundaries. So a boundary, it marks either a place that we get to and we don't go beyond. That could be a boundary. A boundary could indicate the end of a circumference, the end of a thing. A boundary could also indicate Not necessarily have to do with distance, but it's something that I'm unwilling to engage. I'm unwilling to do. I'm uncomfortable doing. I won't cooperate in that regard. Boundaries are important. Boundaries could indicate what's off limits. Case in point, for some people, a boundary could be for married people that when we're home, a friend of the opposite sex cannot call after 9 o'clock or after 10 p.m. We don't take those calls or texts. We don't entertain those. Those are boundaries. A boundary could be, like for me, I have some personal boundaries. When I'm in a meeting in a church setting, I will not meet with someone of the opposite sex by myself with no one else being in the building. That's a boundary. That's a self-imposed boundary. It's a boundary for me to protect me, but it also protects that individual, but I'm doing it to protect me. So if you were in any kind of danger or felt that you were in danger, it's critical for me to have an environment where someone else is in this building, someone else is in this office, someone else is on the other side of that door. If you're in distress, scream. I make sure that you see that person is there. I acknowledge that person is there. I make that person speak to you so that you realize, and at any moment when you're uncomfortable, there is an outlet. Now, that's a personal boundary for me, which means I don't violate that boundary. I have a boundary when I'm sitting with a couple and, one or the other is missing. We don't discuss their sexual life. I won't do it. I won't have phone conversations with people in my marriage mentoring program without their spouse being privy. So in other words, whatever you say to me, when we get in the next session, the first thing that we need to divulge is what we talked about to the spouse. And I'm very careful on how I do that. But those are some boundaries. Boundaries could also be what needs to stay between us. What needs not go to your mama house? Because see, you want me to be more of a family man, but I'm tired of going around your family and you done told them all our business. And when I walk to the family reunion or when I walk up to the 4th of July, everybody's giving me this look and they're whispering because you have violated the boundary of what happens between us needs to be properly processed with us. And now you want me to be more of a family man. But the truth of the matter is, based on your violation of boundaries, I am now uncomfortable being in those settings. And it's not fair for you to expect me to conform after you have crucified my character.
So they don't need to tell everything that's going on at the house to the family. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely not. I think that's one of the worst things you can do. Because here's the thing. Most people will share their perspective. It doesn't mean that their perspective is accurate. That's how you feel about it. And so now you've told your mama that your husband is a dog, or he's this, he's that, or you've told your mama that she's this and she's that. And when you get a moment of clarity, you forgive them. Your family has not forgotten. You don't circle back and say, you know what? I was wrong. So there's certain things, if we're going to build a bond, there's certain things that need to stay between us. We need to process this. We need to work this out. It's not a matter of us keeping secrets. It's a matter of us covering one another. I cover you, you cover me. We deal with the issue. We need to discuss the issue. We need to have a conversation. But if I'm having a conversation with my spouse, with my wife, with your domestic partner, however you define it, however you put it together, you get it, then that person need not show up at your family function and hear all of their vulnerabilities. Case in point, well, we're talking about men and men's health. It is extremely damaging when I take a moment to be vulnerable and you exploit it by sharing my vulnerabilities. You take my secrets, you take my pain, and you tell it to your people. You take my fears and you expose them to people. And so now I don't have a safe place. Now, here's the problem. You want security and stability out of someone that you're not safe, that you haven't created a safe environment for. How can I trust you? You took my secrets and told them to your mama and told her not to tell nobody. And you know your mama tell all the church people's business. So when we showed up for Family and Friends Day, we praying for you, baby. We've been praying for you. Well, what have y'all been praying? We know you got that mole on you, Why do they know this?
Not the mole.
That's very good, Donna Perry, because when you know, I have a saying that when I wanted something better, I changed. I don't put the accountability on my wife or my spouse to create a better environment for me. I can't. I change me. You get it? I'm responsible for changing me. When I change me, I change how I respond to certain things. I change how I see certain things. I change my perspective on certain things, and so I change me. When you want better, you change yourself.
This is good. This is good. What would you say? What one of the other things were financial pressure? Do you feel as if we as men have a lot of pressure on us financially because we're men?
Okay. I was hoping you would ask this question. Oh,
Me
I've
too.
been waiting. I've been waiting to address this question all day because someone asked it to me earlier and I told them to tune in. I think we live in a very toxic culture where men are only loved based on what we provide. They want the products that we provide without valuing the person. Many, oh, sisters, please don't hate me. And I don't care if you do, but the bottom line is many of you don't want a husband, you want a wedding. And you want a marriage because you want what comes with a marriage. And that's why you prepare for the wedding and you get in shape for the wedding dress and you get the bridesmaids and you pick out the venue and you choose the colors and you choose the flowers and you choose the caterer and you do all of the research, but you haven't researched that man the same way. You haven't researched his heart the same way. And so we live in a space now where men are often have the financial burden because this thing that's trending now. I want a man who's a provider, a provider, a provider, a provider, a provider. Okay, so do you want a man or do you want a provider who happens to be a male? Because what happens is this, and this is going to be controversial, but I'm going to say it. As grown adults, where can we go and live for free just because based on our genitalia? Well, I'm the woman. He should pay for everything. Okay, great. Let's say that is true. You get to live for free because you're a woman. You get to live for free, and it's my job to take on the burden of you totally because you happen to be a female. So you see me now as a source or a resource and not necessarily a whole person. I am judged based on what I produce, not who I am. I am judged based on what I provide, not who I am. And so the burden of that becomes, very, depending on the circumstances, it becomes very, very daunting because case in point, if a woman cannot afford to feed her children, they give her welfare. If a man cannot afford to take care of his children, they send him to jail. So most times men, we define ourselves by what we do, our vocation, our vocation. But here's the thing. This is what I preach, and I believe this. If what you have in your pocket makes you a man, then you've already missed the mark. If what is found in your bank account makes you a man, you've already missed the mark. Because here's the thing. There are men who provide great homes and gated communities and five-star hotels and amazing vacations and great, clothing. They provide a great financial experience, but they do not provide presence. And when a child grows up, they've had the best of everything and the best of nobody all at the same time. And so I know what it's like to dress good, to live good, to drive good, but I don't know what it's like to be loved well. I don't know what it's like to be safe. I don't know what it's like to communicate. I don't know what it's like to have healthy expectations because the power of a man is based on his ability to produce. And we'll even say that, when you find, men who make more money, oh, he's a man. He's a man's man. Is he? Or does he happen to just make more money? I want a high value man. And so, you hear women say that and I go, well, do you want a high value man or a high earning man? Because the two are not the same. You can have a very high earning man who really has no substantial value because he didn't care about you or anyone else. He earns a high, has a high income, but he doesn't really respect you. He doesn't value you. You are simply a piece of jewelry, but you do have a high value man. I would suggest not. So a lot of that is very daunting because oftentimes you measure a man by his wallet. But I want you to ask yourself a question, Jonathan, and I'm speaking mostly to African Americans when I say this. Most of the men who paved the way for us to be where we are and enjoy many of the liberties that we have as African American people, most of them never saw $1 million. Most of them who, were beat and bitten by dogs and paved the way for us to be able to go to whatever institution of higher learning we could afford to, never had $100,000 salary. But it's safe to say they were indeed high value men because we're standing on the shoulders of what they've done, and we're standing on their sacrifice. And so I think it's important that when we talk about financial expectations, whatever works for you, great. But I believe that the measure of a man cannot be money. I remember, and this is just me being transparent and very honest, I remember at the height of life where I was making the most money that I'd ever made in life, I didn't like who I was as a man. I didn't like who I was as an individual. Looking back on it, I'm so glad that I didn't have a wife and kids at that time. I was a horrible person. But I had a lot of women because I could afford a lot of women. I had nice things because I could afford nice things, but I was not a quality individual. And I'm not throwing rocks at myself. I'm simply owning that money did not make me a man. I had tons of money. I was not a good man. I was not a good person at all. I was selfish. I was self-absorbed. I was self-centered. I was elitist. I was extremely arrogant. Didn't make me a good man. But I had plenty of women because of my ability to be able to afford what the next man could not. And here's the thing. Oh God, Jesus, stay safe, Ray, when you say this. Some women don't want the man, they want an experience. And the greater experience you can provide, the more loyal and faithful they'll be to you. It's like people are not dating now to get to know the person. They are dating now to get an experience. But here's the thing. I paid for you to have the experience. I don't need to be loyal to you. I give you an amazing experience. You never asked me to be faithful to you. That wasn't your expectation. And so I think when we talk about man and the expectation of finances, now, don't get me wrong. I believe there are 3 components that every man should be able to have. Every man ought to be able to physically defend himself in what he loves, spiritually defend himself in what he loves, and financially defend himself in what he loves. Those 3 components need to be there, but I believe that needs to happen from the inside out and not the other way around. I don't know if I answered that correctly, but I tried my best.
You did good. I think Tammy had a question on what you mean by experience.
Experience. What I mean by experience is this. Are you really, people are not dating to get to know Ray. They're dating to go to 5-star restaurants and go on 5-star trips and take vacations and to be flown out. That's an experience. That's an experience that whoever can provide the best and most constant experience is who you'll choose. But when you're getting to know the individual, like case in point, I was reading something the other day where the lady says, "Oh, I don't do coffee dates." This man tried to take me on a coffee date. And so I redirected him to a list of 5-star restaurants in our area. And I said to him, "Which cuisine would you like to enjoy? Because I don't do coffee dates." Well, you're looking for an experience and not to engage an individual. Because if you were interested in getting to know him, it could start with a coffee date and end at a 5-star restaurant. But you are demanding the experience without having the same level of intensity and engaging the individual.
Wow. Talking real tonight. All right.
And so imagine being a man. I have to measure myself by what's in my pocket. Imagine being a man. If I don't have X, Y, Z, like you and I were in a session the other day, and what did the man say? He says, well, I am concerned about this person because he can provide a financial experience that I know I can't afford. And I thought to myself, how sad. Your wife of 17 years, you're concerned that because you're not a multimillionaire, that maybe she doesn't see you as being the man in her life. But that's the time in which we live. So the experience becomes the priority, because you got to remember, a lot of women read romance novels and they read all of these fairy tales. And so they fall in love with this experience that's been curated by an author who has a great ability to have creative writing and not reality. And what do we do as men? We figure out how to make as much money as we know how. And so we get the money, but we don't necessarily have the capacity to be able to engage a woman in a healthy way. So we can buy you the big house. We just can't communicate with you effectively once we get in it. We can get you the Mercedes, but we can't stay faithful because we don't know the value of sacrifice. So we give you the experience. Case in point, just to drive my point home, you'll be amazed at the richer you are, the more money you have, the more you can get away with. You hear women say it all the time. Do you really think I would give up my lifestyle because he wants another woman? I don't think so. He can do whatever he wants as long as he doesn't give her my experience. You hear women say all the time, I'm the wife, I get the house, I get the car. If he dies, I get the money. What she's saying is, it doesn't matter that the needs of the man is not being met. I get to keep the experience.
Wow.
Ouch.
Yeah. Well, since we're in that light, let's go into sexual health.
What about it?
It's one of the top 10 men issues.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Hey, you said you liked all of them. Here we go.
Okay. Now, sexual health in what regard?
It
Because
just says
listen,
sexual health.
Tamara, listen. Put on your seatbelt. I think it's about the turn up is happening right about now.
Maybe lack of. I hear. Okay, I'll say this, and since you talk to married couples all the time, and I've actually counseled married couples before, I hear that the sex ends a lot of times once you become married. Like, we were exciting, we were getting it in, we were doing all these great things, but once we got married, things shifted.
Well,
it says sexual health is important and necessary.
I could sum that up very quickly. Most women are taught to get a man, get a husband. Very few of them are taught how to keep a man. So to lure you, I give you all the sex you want. Because remember, it's not necessarily about you, it's about the experience. I'm hoping for the wife to be your wife, the wedding ring, the wedding, the big house. Once I've accomplished the experience, meeting the needs of the individual are not as important, because I'm busy maintaining the experience, that my engagement with the person is not as prominent. You get it? Mm-hmm. Not only that, women are also often taught that sex for men is always physical, which is the biggest lie ever told. For men, it's physical. For women, it's physical, spiritual, emotional, psychological. But for men, it's just physical. That's not true. That's not true at all. And so I think when we get to that place, especially in marriages, once I got you, I've won. So where I used to come to bed and I was real pretty, I now just throw a bonnet on. You used to come over to my place when I was single and I would have on makeup and the hair done and all that good stuff, because I want you to know that I want you to be proud of what you're coming to. Once you get married, it's okay. Well, it's cold cream and face mask and all of this other stuff. And so sex has to be, she said sex was the only part of our marriage at first. Now it's important, but not priority anymore. Well, that's a very dangerous statement, because if sex is no longer a priority, I can assure you that the quality of your marriage cannot be what it should be. Sex has to be a priority. Sex is necessary. Sex is crucial. Let me just give you some Bible, because we seem to have a lot of church folks in here. God looked at Adam, and Adam talked to God every day. God had a personal meeting with Adam. Are you listening to me? And God looked at Adam one day and says, it ain't good for him to be alone. Every other species got somebody to have sex with, and he don't. I will go, watch this, and make for him a helpmeet. Now, ooh, Jesus. She was there to help meet the needs of that man. God designed that man with sexual orifices, with sexual with sexual parts. Part of her job was to meet the physical needs of that man. When we say sex is not a priority, we are diminishing the needs of one or the other. Sex has to be a priority. I think, and I say this to all of my married couples, you need to be having sex often as you possibly can. And it needs to be good sex, nasty sex, kinky sex, good sex. You get it? Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. Jonathan, I know this is your audience, and I'm be a bit raw here, but watch this. Watch this. When you feed the dog well at the house, he don't go eating and straight play, down the street with Miss Mary. You get it? Sex has to be a priority. Sex has to be a priority. Sex must be a priority. Sex has to be a priority like breathing, like drinking water. And get this. Oh, I'm going to say this. Thank you, Jacinda. I'm going to say this. Me having sex with my wife is not a privilege. It's my right. You're not doing me a favor by giving me some. It is my right. It belongs to me. I belong to you. You're not doing me a favor. I guess I'll be a blessing to him tonight. No. Sex with my wife is not a privilege, because when you see sex as a privilege, when you're dissatisfied with my performance, you will take it away. When you don't like what I said, you'll take it away. When you cannot control me in a moment, you'll take it away. And so because you believe it's just physical, you don't realize that you're taking my affirmation away. You're taking my intimacy away. You're taking the thing that affirms my masculinity away. You're taking your love away. You're robbing me of all the things that are necessary for me to be a good husband, because you believe that the box that you get to sit on, that somehow I should be grateful that you allow me access to it. That's not too raw, is it? But I meant every word of it. I kid you not. I meant every word of it. I did. And so sex is very important. How do you have a good marriage without having good sex? It doesn't work. Well, sex is not that important to us. We love each other, and we're at a place in our marriage where sex is not at the top of the list. No, you're at a defeated place in your marriage where you have embraced the fact that you're defeated, and y'all are now just going along to get along, waiting for one or the other to die. Sex is important. Sex is emotional for men. Sex is psychological for men. Sex is spiritual for men. And yes, sex is physical for men.
People can't type fast enough in the comment section. I'm loving it.
Somebody say, okay, cut off his mic. I'm sorry. Jonathan asked the question. I was not going there tonight. But here is the thing. How do you affirm my masculinity? Now get this. You want stability out of me.
We done lost viewers.
We have? It's okay. You want stability out of me. You want safety out of me. You want security out of me. You want greatness out of me. But you send me out of the house frustrated and then wonder why I have a wandering eye. Because someone told you that it was physical and not emotional and not psychological and not affirming. Someone says, I'm single. Should I be on this call? I agree, but I can't put it in action yet. Hey, listen. Your day is coming. Your day is coming. Get all of this good information so that when your day comes, listen, it is better to be prepared and not need to perform than to have to perform and not be prepared.
That's great. Yeah. Please drink some water. What does it say right up there? When your body goes through changes, and it will go get help. Swing from the. Okay, come on, Donna. Come on, Donna.
Listen.
40 years of marriage over there.
Okay, 40 years of marriage. She probably has the right to be a voice on some things. She's got 40 years in the game. I think it's safe to say that she has experienced enough to be able to say, but yeah, swing from the chandeliers, swing from the back seat of the car, swing from the backyard, swing from the kitchen counter, swing from the kitchen island, swing from the movie room, swing from the living room floor, swing from the shower, swing from the bathroom floor, swing from the office, swing at in the pastor's study in the church, swing from the choir room where they got the choir robes, wherever you need to swing from. Let it be said that in this, as for me and my house, we will have sex.
From the chandelier. Woo.
We will have sex. Sex is important. And not just sex. We're having good sex, great sex, wild sex. The Bible says that the marriage bed is undefiled. In other words, God's in agreement with whatever we want to do. Lord, give me the strength. Anoint me so that when I go and my wife's
what, Donna?
Good sex. You get it? Loud sex, wild sex. It's important. You get it? Now, this is the stuff that we should be teaching in our churches.
Right.
I'm going to teach you how to pray, but I'm going to also teach you that you need to be having some good sex. You'd be amazed at how much better he'll pray when he ain't backed up. And I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave that alone.
This is
sex is critical to a healthy marriage. It is. It's extremely important. All jokes aside, it's extremely
important. Offering plate out there.
Listen. Now, I will say this. I'm glad you did that because the Lord gave me a word concerning this today. Now, Jonathan didn't ask me to do this. Jonathan didn't even know what I'm about to do or anything of that nature. But I was praying, God, what do you want me to say on this platform tonight? I've said a lot of what he wants me to say, but he told me tonight. Now, Jonathan, this has nothing to do with this. If he asked me to do it, I wouldn't have done it. But the Lord told me, for every person that is believing to take their relationship to the next level, if you're married and you're struggling, if you're single and you're believing to be able to go into a marriage with complete and healthy constructs, that if you would sow into this broadcast tonight a $77 seed for every person, if you got a husband and wanted to go to the next level, $77. If you're believing God, you're single and you're believing God for a husband, the Lord told me to tell you, I would not do this unless he told me to tell you. Jonathan did not know I was going to do it, but sow $77 into this broadcast tonight. I think his information's on the screen. $77. You want your relationship to go to the next level, 7 being completion, the number of completion for both parties. In other words, I'm not looking to complete you and you complete me. I'm looking to be complete. I want you to be complete, and together we can have a complete marriage. So if that resonates with you, you should sow the $77. I'm going to sow the $77 for my house myself. Praise Jesus.
Well, thank you.
But he told me that on the way over here.
The Lord.
I was in a restaurant praying, and I said, God, what am I going to say to the people? And he told me a lot of things to say, and he said, make sure you do this. And I'd actually forgotten about it until he put the information on the screen.
That was done to be funny. Look at God.
No, not at all. I'm pulling out my Cash App so that I can sow it.
We had a question, and I want to make sure people.
I got time tonight. I'm in no rush tonight. I've been excited about this.
Me too. Hold on. There was a question that I'm trying to find. Oh, okay. Outside of sex. I'll put it up here so once you look, you can answer it. Hopefully they're still on.
Can you explain why women sabotage healthy relationships? Fear. Fear is often the issue. Then there's another caveat. Sometimes we're in relationships with women who've never seen a healthy relationship. And if the relationship's going too well, we do something to sabotage it, because for some people, I only know how to navigate in chaos. I've never seen a whole relationship. I've never seen a healthy relationship. So I don't know how to navigate a healthy relationship. So I have to sabotage something so that I'm constantly fixing something, because some of us spend most of our lives fixing what we never broke and what never should have been broken, that we don't necessarily enjoy the journey of wholeness and having a healthy relationship. Okay, I'm just sewing my $77 because I don't believe in asking people and telling people to sew, and I haven't. So I've done it. There we go. So
all of you.
Some of it's fear, some of it is subconscious, and so it becomes one of those things where some people sabotage relationships because chaos is comfortable for them. Chaos is just comfortable. Wow. Think about something. Most people who've been abused in relationships, they often go from abusive relationship to abusive relationship to abusive relationship. Now, here's the thing. No one puts on the application, I am an abuser. Mm-hmm. I will abuse you. People tend to go from those type of relationships because to them, it's all they know. And sometimes all we know is all we're comfortable with. And until we can get to a place where we realize it doesn't serve us very well, we don't necessarily break rank and change.
Thank you. Thank you all. All right. One of the other one was loneliness and isolation.
In what context?
These are men's issues, I guess. Feeling isolated or being lonely. I've heard people talk about even being or feeling lonely in relationships.
How can I say this?
Or just being a man, feeling alone as a man.
It's that's a touchy one for me, because I've lived with that for some time, and I've had to really overcome it. And there were several years I struggled to overcome it. There's nothing like being misunderstood. There's nothing like being with someone who doesn't get you. There's nothing like being in a relationship and or marriage, and you're responsible for everything, but feel like no one feels responsible for you. It is very difficult to come to a crowded house where there's laughter and joy and love, all of which you pay the price for, but you yourself don't have that. You spend so much time making it happen for everyone else that you don't get to enjoy it yourself. And you put everyone else before you. And, based on you being a man, in many arenas, it is often said that's what a man's supposed to do. That's called being a man. Well, when my manhood overshadows my humanity, that becomes a problem, because there's some needs, just basic human needs, that a human being needs to survive, to thrive, to be healthy. And so my pastor says that a lot of being lonely as a pastor, meaning at the wedding, he will leave because everyone is uncomfortable that the pastor is there. Yeah. Well, I think that also depends on the presentation. The pastoral presentation. But I think loneliness from a holistic perspective, or from a much wider vantage point for men, is most men are lonely. Most men are lonely. We just don't voice it because it's not safe to say that. I used to say that being a pastor is lonely, but I would agree being a pastor can be lonely. And that is one of the crucial mistakes, and I'm taking a sidebar here, is we often look for solace from the sheep. You cannot look for solace from the sheep, because the sheep don't necessarily see you as a person. They see you as a shepherd. And when people see you as a shepherd, they see your function. They don't see your humanity. And when people see that you're gifted, they love your gift and respect your gift. They don't necessarily have a value for the gifted. Because if you're gifted and you stop doing what you do, they no longer want you, because they never wanted you to begin with. They wanted the gift that comes with you. And oftentimes you take that outside of a pastoral construct and just bring that into the house. You want a daddy, you want a husband. He's a figurehead. I finally got married. I have me a husband. My husband does this. Think about it. Whenever a woman says, hey, I met this guy and I really think he's a good guy, he could be the one, they say, what does he do? When you meet a woman and there are women around and they're married, this is, so what does your husband do? They don't ask who he is. What does he do? And based on what he does, they're going to esteem your marriage a particular value. They never say, well, who is he? What's he like? What does he do? He's a lawyer. He's a doctor. He's a basketball coach. He's a basketball player. He works for Congress. He works for so-and-so. It is often, you are identified by what you do. So which means if you're identified by what you do, you're treated according to the value of what you do. And it's easy to be lonely because what I do is not who I am. And though you respect what I do and how well I do it, if you don't learn to speak to me, if you don't learn to love me, if you can't properly engage me, then it's quite plausible that I'm in a marriage with healthy kids, beautiful children, a beautiful wife, and I'm indeed lonely. Because do you really see me? You like Superman. You ain't talked to Clark Kent in ages. And more so than not, people talk to the man they perceive or the man that they like, not necessarily who the man is. And it's very difficult when you're in a marriage and you feel like she doesn't see me. So when she says she loves me, I struggle to believe that she loves me, because I don't even think she knows me. I don't think she sees that I'm hurting. I don't think that she knows that I'm depressed, because I keep getting up and I keep going to work and I keep paying the bills and I keep making it happen. And I'm showing up for the kids' game and I'm showing up to the kids' function. But who has checked on me? Who has checked on me? When was the last time you checked on your husband and it didn't involve something he was doing or something that he needed to do? When's the last time you took him to dinner and said, how are you? And when he says, oh, I'm good, things at the job, and you say to him, sweetie, I don't want to talk about the job. I don't want to talk about the kids. I just want to talk about you. How are you? Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. And sometimes you have to untrain men, because we've been so conditioned and so wired to talk about what we do that we forget to tell you who we are. And that's why you have problems once we get past the honeymoon, because you knew what we do and how we did it. And then you wake up with who we are. And sometimes who we are is not all that you perceived us to be, because you were so busy looking for what we would look like in the tuxedo that you forgot that when we take the tuxedo off, when the uniform comes off, you got to deal with the man. Got to deal with the man. Do you know the man? Of course I know my husband. You know your husband. Do you know the man? Because see, how you quantify your husband is based on performance. Do you know the man? Can you talk to the man? You can talk to the lawyer. You can talk to the doctor. You can talk to the dad. Can you talk to the man? You can talk to the pastor. When's the last time you talked to the man? You can talk to the apostle. When's the last time you talked to the man? Your mama taught you how to talk to your husband. Did she teach you how to talk to that man? You saw your mama talk to your daddy, if you were fortunate. If you were fortunate. And get this, most of us don't realize that we grew up in houses with broken men until we become grown trying to navigate manhood on our own. She said, can you share as a married man the power of a wife having your husband's heart? Whoo. I can. I can. I am the power of, well, let me take it a bit deeper. It's one thing to have my heart. It's another thing to know my heart. And altogether another thing to know it so well that you know you need to protect my heart. So just because you have my heart is not impressive. Do you value my heart? Do you know my heart? And do you work to protect my heart? Mm. The true power is not in having my heart, because you don't really have a say in that. If I give you my heart, then I've rendered that to you. What you do when you have my heart is more critical. Do you protect it? Do you cover it? Do you nurture it? Do you speak to it? Will you exploit it? Will you ignore it? Will you compare it to your ex? Will you compare it to your daddy? Will you compare it to your granddaddy? Because see, if you're protecting my heart, you're careful not to break my heart. And if you're careful not to break my heart, that means that you're forever searching my heart, understanding my heart, cultivating an environment where it's easy for me to be able to show you my heart. You'll be amazed at the wives who have rings and houses and don't have hearts. You wear my last name, but you don't have my heart. Hmm.
How can they get that? How can they know the difference in doing so, in shifting?
In shifting in which capacity? Protecting my heart?
I was going to say, protecting my protection part.
Okay, the protection of my heart. Is my heart safe with you? You'll be amazed at the women who are sexy but are not safe. You'll be amazed at the women who are physically fine, but they're not safe. My aunt told me to never marry a man that you love. Always marry a man that loves you. Think of, now let me dissect that statement for you. Put that back on the screen if you would, Jonathan.
Sure.
Put that, now I want to dissect the statement. My aunt told me to never marry a man that you love. Always marry a man that loves you. Never marry a man that you are emotionally and substantially vested in. Marry one who does that for you. You don't love him. Find the one that loves you and marry him. Let's think about that for a moment. Let's really think about that for a moment. Find you one that is going to give you what you're not going to give him. Now, maybe Tamara didn't mean it in that way, but when you dissect that, I've often heard that find the man that loves you more than you love him. So go be a robber. Take everything he's willing to give you, but don't you be weak enough to give it to him. Take him loving you, but you put a limit on your love. You get it? And so protecting my heart is protecting how you treat me. It is defined by how you treat me. It's defined by what you say to me. It's defined by whether or not you're going to throw up certain things in my face. It's defined by whether or not you see me holistically. Am I just a provider or am I a whole person? Do you appreciate me? Do you value me? Protecting my heart. Do you let your family say what they want to say about me? Do you say certain things around my children that will cause them that might negatively impact how they see me? When you speak to me, do you speak to me from a perspective of dwelling with knowledge and understanding with me, just as I should be with you? Or are you speaking to me as if I'm beneath you? When you speak to me, do you speak to me with reverence and honor? Or do you speak to me in regard to I should be happy that you're here? When I share my secrets, do they become our secrets, or is it just my weakness?
Mhm.
How do you protect my heart? You protect my heart by covering it, by being careful with it, by one, acknowledging it. You're my rib. The rib cage protects the vital organs. In other words, there's certain things that should never get to me, because if you are protecting my heart, I should never have to worry about another man in your inbox. He don't have that kind of access to you, because if I've given you my heart, then you are connected to my heart and you have become my heart. And since you're my rib, you are protecting my vital organs. You're protecting my heart. How is it that someone jumped in your inbox and you devastated my whole world? How is it that someone on your job has access to you when you're my heart? You're protecting my heart. See, I think if we look at our spouses as someone that we should protect and someone that we should have a duty and an allegiance to, then we no longer look only for what we get out of the marriage. We look for what we can provide as well. Protecting my heart is protecting my children, protecting me, protecting my peace. I got to go out and fight the world. And I come home and you don't even acknowledge that I've been in the world. I got to go out and conquer. And I come home and you don't even acknowledge that I've gone to conquer the world. I go out and I got to be this, that, and third to the world. And I got to come home and argue with you too. I got a haircut today and the world noticed, but you didn't. I bought you a dress. I bought you a car. I bought you a house. You bought me some socks. She says, quit dissecting everything I say. It's not intentional. It's just that, the saying that you put there has been one that has caused a lot of damage. Marry the man that loves you, not the man you love. Well, wait a minute. If he loves you and you don't love him, isn't that a robbery? They always say, marry the person that loves you more than you love them. That is awful. That is terrible. You're saying from the onset, I'm willing to get more from you than I'm ever going to give you. Just saying.
Oh, Kevin. I love it. That's Evansville, Indiana right there. Same thing as women want. Same.
Exactly. Classy, that I'm so glad you said that. The same thing women want, men want. Or let me say it this way. The same emotional things that women need, men need. Montre, please don't buy him socks. We don't like when y'all buy us socks. We really don't. It's an insult. When y'all give us socks and a tie for Father's Day, I kid you not, it's an insult. We just smile, but we don't want it. We could have bought ourselves some socks. We could have bought ourselves a tie. You didn't put much thought into it. We don't want the socks. Oh, can I say this, Jonathan? I mean, I may as well. And
everything else.
For our birthday and for Father's Day, sex ain't no gift. We was gonna get that anyway.
This is.
I'm sorry, Jonathan.
I love it.
Once I recognized my husband, I was my husband's best friend. I'm very mindful to protect that. I pray for wisdom to be the wife. It's a very selfless journey, and it's not 50-50. Guess what? It's never 50-50. It's 100-100. Me and my wife, we don't go 50-50. We don't go half on nothing. We go hard on everything. Where I'm weak, she is strong. Where I'm strong, she ain't got to be. But we go 100% on everything. Why? Our marriage is both our responsibilities. I'm responsible for her. She's responsible for me. It's a we thing, not a he, she thing.
Amen.
Well, it's not, classy. Sex is not a gift. Oh, it's your birthday. I'm going to hook you up real good. You should be hooking me up because it's Wednesday. You should be hooking me up because it's Wednesday. Girl, it's his birthday. I'm gonna have to get hook him up. Hook him up. What is it? Hook him up. What? I'm gonna hook you up real nice. Really? So on the other days you're not hooking me up real nice?
It's your birthday. It's special. You deserve it now.
And then there's that.
Okay, Miss. Come on.
Listen. I want a birthday where I don't even have to have sex because my sex life is so full.
This is good.
Someone says Wendy's 4 for $5 Ruth Chris. Listen, I can legitimately say this. I can legitimately say this. I don't know if my wife is watching or not, but I spare no expense with her. And ladies, listen to me. She spares no expense with me.
This is
it's an outright competition to see which one of us can treat the other better. And it's ongoing.
That's good. That's good. We'll
You
do
get
it. Yes.
Wasn't always that way. Well, no, that part was always that way. There were some other hiccups we had, but that part has always been there. I spare no expense for her, and she spares absolutely no expense for me.
Okay.
Let me just say this, because this package I got, man, I got a package. You understand? I got a package. And this package I got, listen, you don't understand. Let's move on. What's your next question?
Yes. Okay. What about? Because I'll say this. I've heard. Man. This is something else tonight. Yes. Please come to our church, Reset Church, for a perfect church for imperfect people.
That's right. Listen. Sometimes you just got to get you a package. I'm gonna leave it right there. I could go somewhere with that. I'm gonna leave it right there.
Listen, we are. I was gonna say this is a family show, but it's an adult one.
Oh, I didn't know. Is it a family show?
It's an adult show. It's a show.
I was gonna say, real. Yeah, you probably shouldn't have invited me.
I said, why don't I invite my pastor? Yeah. This is great.
You know.
I understand. All right, so let's do one more topic. All right, I'm using this one because I've heard in relationships, the partners complain about you work too much. So explain work-life balance. But before you say, I hear also the complaint of I want a certain lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Go.
Oh man. Okay.
Loving this. These
work-life balance. Sometimes all you both need is a special delivery. Listen, put that back up. Let me work with that for just a moment, would you? Listen, sometimes that special delivery is a package deal. I'm telling you, some of us just need to get a package and we'll be okay. It's okay. We'll talk about that some other time. But you're right. Sometimes all you both need is a special delivery. You just need a package. I'm going to be dealing with that sometime next year. I'll come back on the show. And, sometimes you just need a package. You get your package. Listen, Jonathan, please tell me to move on because I don't want to unwrap the package just yet, but I'm on the edge of my seat. Sometimes you just need a package. I know. Sometimes we just need a package. I don't want to talk about the package tonight, but let me tell you, a package could solve a lot of problems, and I'm going to leave it right there. Now let's talk about work-life balance. Work-life balance is crucial. But I also want to say this. Oh my. I wasn't expecting that. I've been waiting for a while. He better be a package, and me too. I got work to do. And then there's that. I'm going to stay on task here. Jonathan is giving me a question, and I'm going to pretend as if I did not read that statement. But bless your heart, sweet baby. I pray that you get your package.
This is great, you guys.
Let's move on. So
I tried. And in the comment section.
Let's stay on task. Oh my God. No, I'm not going to unwrap the package, Tamara. Not tonight. So work-life balance. Now let's be crucial. Let's be critical here. Oh, Miss Carey say package work both ways. What's good for the man is good for the woman. I'm not gonna touch that. I'm gonna leave that alone.
Clearly.
We're gonna leave the package alone
This package
because
has taken our conversation.
we don't have enough time to unravel the mystery of the package. But here's what I will say.
Literally left.
Here's what I will say. This so didn't go the way I thought it was gonna go.
Timmy,
Yeah.
what is happening right now?
Listen. Let's regroup, people. Work-life balance. There's several reasons that work-life balance is up. Some people go to work because they don't like coming home. It's not that they don't have a work-life balance. They don't like being at home. And so they stay at work or in a work environment long enough to where when they get home, the house is quiet. Some people legitimately have a work-life imbalance because they're looking to produce a particular lifestyle, and that requires time. And based on the lifestyle you want, it may dictate how much work is required. Because here's the thing: if a man has a lot of money, he doesn't have a lot of time. If he has a lot of time, he ain't got a lot of money, because it takes time to make money. So I think what's important is prioritization. How do you prioritize? Look, she's still with this package. My package, yes, balance. Listen, balancing your package is going to be work. You're right, but we're not going there, Yvonne. We're not going there. As I was saying, work-life balance is extremely important, but I think you have to sometimes accept the reality, especially for men. Oftentimes, men stay at work because they don't like going home. Sometimes it's not even about needing the money. I just don't like go home. Another caveat becomes this: what's keeping him at work? Sometimes it ain't all work; it's his work wife. Sometimes it's not all work. Okay, let's leave the package alone. Give that girl her package.
You started this.
I mentioned it.
And it struck the nerve and other things in the comment section. But what were you saying? Sometimes they don't want to come home.
Yeah, sometimes they just don't want to come home. Sometimes we feel like guests in our own house, and work makes us feel like a man, so we go where we're celebrated. We go where we celebrate it.
Mm-hmm.
We go where we're celebrated. At work, my life is performance-based. They celebrate my performance. At home, you'll be amazed at the men who go home and they don't feel welcome. You'll be amazed at the husbands who go home and they feel like a guest in their own house. And so work becomes important to me because my work shows that I'm appreciated. My work shows that I'm valued. I'll say this, and maybe this is the biggest nugget of the night. The most dangerous place you can find yourself in a marriage is where your man doesn't feel needed. Men need to be needed. Give us a need to fill and watch us perform. We are wired that way. Why do you think men are so good at sports? We need to win. We need you to run that ball. Give me a need to fill, and I will figure out the most excellent way to fill it. I often tell women, based on how you talk to your man, you could tell him everything he's not. You could tell him everything he's gotten wrong. But if you could just simply tell him what you need. Men are wired to meet needs. Sweetie, I need you to spend more time at the house. I really need more of your presence. Now, all you do is work. You don't care nothing about home. You work, and we got nothing left. We barely ever see you around here. That's very different than we need you here. We love you. It's not just about your job. We need you. We want to enjoy you. I need you. I need your touch. I need your presence. I need your company. I need your companionship. I need you to be more attentive. I'm really at a loss. I got a void that I need you to fill. When you want a man to respond, speak man language in form of need. We are wired to meet needs. Tell us what you need. Tell us you need us. Tell us what you need us to do. Give us a need to fill, because when you give me a need, guess what it says? You believe that I have the capacity to meet that need. So you're telling me that you believe in me. You're telling me that you want to depend on me. You're telling me that you have a greater expectation for me, because you're telling me that what you need, you believe I can provide. So you're affirming me. You're affirming my masculinity. You're telling me that you value me. You're telling me that I serve a presence in your life. I'm not just a placeholder, but you see me. And what you need, you want from me. You better believe it. There's something about telling him, I need you.
Whew. Listen.
Someone says, is that like validating him? Absolutely. You can fuss at a man all day and tell him what he didn't do. Tell him what he's not doing. Or you can tell him what you need from him. You listen, watch this, watch this, watch this. Acknowledgement goes a long way. Encouragement goes a long way. Need goes the distance.
Mm.
When you tell a man what you need, case in point, men will go out and work 30 hours overtime because their child needs a new bicycle. Men will go out and work 3 jobs because, my wife has just had a baby and the baby needs food and diapers. I will go and get a 3rd job and work swing shift because my wife needs a new house. I will sign up for overtime and I will coach Little League and I will do whatever I can to make some extra money because my son needs money for AAU basketball. My children need school clothes. I will sacrifice whatever because there's a need. I need. Men respond to the language of need.
Mm.
Even Jesus says, I must need go through Samaria. They had need of me. I needed to go there. I was wanted there. I was desired there. I had purpose there. There was a purpose that only I could fulfill there. This is why sex has to be a priority, because you got to tell that man, I need you to knock the bottom out of it. You want him to come home, tell him you need him to get in that thing. Oh God, it's a family show, Jesus. And Montre Roberts, that I'll be honest with you, many people have not seen it demonstrated. We don't realize, Jesus, I probably shouldn't have said the bottom statement. We don't realize that we've missed out. We don't realize that we've missed out. We don't realize that we've missed out until we mess up.
Mm.
And you realize that things are messed up because I missed out.
Reaching in this.
There's so much satisfaction for him and you when the need is met. Security realized, love shared, humbled, and fulfilling accomplishment. We win when we have a need and a need is fulfilled. Absolutely. And we lose, which goes back to the very top of the show. We lose when you have a need that you've not expressed, but you have an expectation of him to meet a need that he never knew existed.
Mm.
It builds bitterness. It builds resentment. It builds anger. And the man is wondering, I don't know where I went wrong. She had a need that she did not express, but she held you accountable for not responding and meeting said need that you never knew existed.
Mm. This is. You see Classy's question? And then we'll wrap.
How do we show them or make them feel needed without some of the unhealthy pressure or expectation? I'm not quite sure I understand that question totally. Let me read that again. How do we show them or make them feel needed without some of that healthy pressure or unexpectation? I think when you have a sincere and honest need, tell me the need without trying to tell me how to meet the need. You know, some people will tell you, I need this. So you need to go down there and do this and talk to Henry and talk to Charles and talk to Willie Earl. And then you go over there and talk to Miss. Wait. Just tell me the need and trust that I can meet it. Tell me the need without teaching me like, tell me the need without treating me like a little boy. I'm man enough to meet your need. Tell me what your need is. And then let me look at what my resources are. Look at what my network is. Look at what's in reach. So I think sometimes it stops. You should just stop with just telling me the need. If you tell me what you need and then try to coach me on meeting the need, then you don't really have any great confidence in me.
Mm.
And that is demeaning and emasculating in many ways. There you go, Yvonne Williams. Tell me the need, not the direction. Telling me what to do is like saying, I'll just do it myself. Exactly. There you go.
Mm.
Exactly.
Mm. This has been great, you guys. If they will be waiting on your book, so make sure as soon as it's ready, you come back and let's talk about it, because it's gonna sell out. I can promise you that.
I look forward to it.
Do you see it?
I'm getting ready to move my letter to y'all. Listen, you sound old school. You don't need a letter to come to my church. I ain't gonna read it anyway. I'm just telling you, bring me a letter. I'm gonna say, God bless you, and may God forever keep you. I will not be reading your letter. A married friend told me she makes suggestions to her husband, so it seems like he makes the final decision. I want you to read that to yourself again. I make suggestions so he gets to feel like he made the decision. Not that I tell him what my need is and trust that he can make a decision on his own, but I understand her point. And now this is one thing about protecting his heart. She just told that to Montre. Go back to Montre's statement, if you would. A married friend told me she makes suggestions to her husband, so it seems like he makes the final decision. Is he a kindergartner? And if that's what she's doing, why would she tell that to you? So the next time you look at him, you think she really made a decision, but the way she packages it, he feels like a man. Even if that's what he needed, should she have told that to another woman? How you present your spouse is heavily affects how people receive your spouse. Oh man, we back at the package. Someone says once a week.
It up there.
Yeah, just let's leave the package alone, please.
Janita said we should do a podcast.
Should we now? I mean, do we have that much to say?
You got plenty, clearly. And I always got questions.
But okay, one more question for tonight. And listen, I want everybody who can and who will to sow into this ministry, sow the $77. Every person that can and will sow the $77 to support the platform. And if you want your marriage, your relationship to go to the next level, even if you're single, I'm telling you, Spirit of the Lord spoke this to me today on the way over. And I'm telling you, sow the $77, because now you're saying to God, give me the grace to be complete, and give me the grace to be able to acknowledge another complete person. And so that as we begin to engage and embark on a new relationship or marriage, we have a seed that's in the ground and grace we can pull from. The power of your seed is amazing. I don't have time to teach on that tonight. If you came to hear me, you're going to have to trust that I hear God. But every person that can sow the $77. That's what the Lord told me. I sold it because I listen, like I told you, I have a great package going on. You understand me? I have a great package. And so I want for it to flourish. I want it to be the best that it can be. I want it to be all that it can be. And so when the Lord spoke to me about the $77, I wanted to be the first person to sow it. Because I'm expecting, geez, well, Go back to that statement by Miss Carey, if you don't mind.
It's so true.
Yeah, so true. Women, shut up. Don't tell all your business. Well, she said it. I didn't. I agree with it.
All right. Closing remarks, and then if you can pray for the people.
Well, I mean, I think I've done enough. I'm gonna let you pray for the people.
No.
I'm just gonna set my faith in agreement with the people.
Go
you
for
know,
it, please. They want to hear you talk to Jesus too.
Well, if you want to hear me talk to Jesus, join me tomorrow morning for 5 a.m. Amped. Jonathan will give you the information. I cover you with the grace and peace and shalom of the Lord. I declare that your life is more full than it's ever been. I declare that there's no defeat among you. I declare that every need in your life is met in Jesus' name. I declare that any challenge that you face, it is working in your favor, that it works for the glory of God to be manifested in your life and in your situation. I declare that there's no shame that shall overtake you, no guilt that shall bury you. But I declare that he whom the Son sets free is free indeed. And so, Father, in Jesus' name, I cover these, your precious people, with your blood. And I thank you in advance of what's been discussed here today will be discussed in their homes, will be thought about in their private times, will resonate in their hearts and produce fruit in their lives. In Jesus' name. The people said,
Amen. Hold on. Let me take it off. Oh. There we go. Amen.
Awesome.
It's been great. I thank y'all for being with us the whole time and commenting and being a part of the conversation. And then got Dr. Melina say amen to your prayer. That is his lovely wife.
Yes, I don't know if she's been on the whole time, but
okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. You have shared so much, and now everyone's gonna go talk to their mate about their package. And so we thank God for all that you have brought tonight.
Amen.
Oh, this has been great.
Amen.
Y'all, we talked for over 2 hours.
We did indeed, and I think the people still want to know about the package. Maybe I'll come back another time and talk about the package.
You're going to talk about it also in your book. So once you get this book ready.
Well, this first book, we won't be talking about the package in the first book. In the first book, I'm writing a couple books, but the package won't be in the first book. The first book's almost done. So the package won't be about this book. This first book that's being released is about communication and how to speak effectively. After doing this show, I'm writing a new book called Man Language.
Yeah.
The language that men respond to and the women who learn to speak it.
That's awesome. Ooh. Tammy said she's been trying to go to bed, but she's trying to figure out how she can go live there, work, and then come to church on Sundays. I love it. I love it. My Jesus part 3. Listen.
If Jonathan will have me back, I'll come back, and I promise I'll be good the next time. I'll be good.
No, they don't want that. They don't want that.
I'll be nice. I promise. I'll be nice.
Hold on. I'm trying to slow to you. Oh, hold on. Trying to make sure everybody slow to you. So thank Jonathan for opening.
Thank you so much, Yvonna Williams. I appreciate your time and your presence. Thank you, ma'am.
Come here, 5 a.m. though. No, that it's Central Standard Time. So I think
Evansville, 6 a.m. your time.
Yeah, I think Evansville is still with us. Evansville, Indiana. I think that's with us.
Is that Central?
I think so. It used to be.
Go back to the last person. Go back to the. Yeah. Okay. So Yvonna, no. Go back. I just want to release a word.
Hold on, wait.
Yvonna, I see where there's been a disturbance in your peace, and the Lord says to tell you that He is going to be a great restorer of your peace. Not only your peace, but there's been some health challenges that has come upon you. But I want you to know that the grace of God is also covering you there. And the Lord says that He is going to totally recalibrate your physical health and your physical body, and even as it begins to impact and impair your sleep. From the days to come, you will sleep like a baby. Your sleep will return. Your strength will return. And the Lord has not forgotten you. You have labored for quite a while and not necessarily seen the return that you had hoped for. But the Lord says to tell you that this is your season of recompense, and the season of recompense where he's going to repay. So he's about to orchestrate the rewards that you have had due for quite some time, and you've made peace even with them not happening. But that won't be your portion, says God. He is going to take you to your season of recompense, and there's a grace that's going to hit your life and your physical body. I'm still seeing your physical health. There's going to be restoration there, but every sacrifice that you've made, because you've made some sacrifices for people and some huge sacrifices for people that you're related to, family members and family, and they didn't necessarily return it as they should have. But the Lord says to tell you that he's going to repay you at this season, and the hour of your recompense is near.
Amen. Amen. I hope she stayed on to hear that.
I do as well.
If not, I'll reach out to her to come back and watch the end of the show. I didn't see her come. Maybe she jumped off. It's all good. I'll reach out to her and make sure she watches at the end.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, what's that say? Like I was about to say the word package. As I always say,
leave the package alone.
I'm leaving it alone.
Jesus, let's I mean,
oh, she really did leave. Oh well. Oh no, she was there. She was there. Awesome.
Good. I'm glad she was there.
I didn't want to turn it off until I knew for a fact. Okay. All right, people. This has been amazing.
And thank you so much for the opportunity, Jonathan. I really appreciate it.
Honored. And I'm trying to figure out how to. All right, here we go. All right. As I always say, it doesn't have to be your birthday for today to be your day.